Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic, coding well, and today we're doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, which sees Denzel Washington's Equalizer 3 set to make a $35 million opening over the Labor Day weekend, which according to Box Office Pro could be the second best Labor Day weekend opening of all time. Again, that's just according to them. Equalizer 3 aiming for number 2 all-time Labor Day debut. Now, of course, these are all without adjusting for inflation, so we will have to wait and see exactly where this film stands up to the other Labor Day releases, but ultimately a $30 million opening, a $35 million opening according to the numbers over at Variety, and a $31 million opening weekend with a $37.6 million opening for the 4-day holiday total. Means Equalizer 3 could potentially see its way to making some money with a $70 million reported budget. So we'll have to wait and see what the numbers actually are worldwide this weekend. But we also, of course, have more weekend numbers for Barbie, which is set to be yet again in the top 3. This film continuing to hold very strongly. Blue Beetle also continuing to hold strong despite very low box office numbers. And Oppenheimer also continuing to just plow its way through, now having a projected better hold than even the Barbie film. So very impressive. Unfortunately, Gran Turismo is looking like it's going to have a pretty massive drop, especially for a film of its size with the kind of opening that it had of 63%. So Gran Turismo not looking great at this point in time, but again, things still remain to be seen. Before we get further, though, please make sure you smash that like button, loud that fire button, obviously smash the rumble button as well. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification. That way, you know every time a video or live stream goes live on the channel. So over on Box Office Pro, first we talk about the Equalizer 3. So right now they are projecting the 3 days, so the Friday to Sunday numbers, including Thursday previews. I have my ticket to go see it tonight. Pretty excited for it. Recently got introduced to the Equalizer films just this past year, and I think that they're pretty fun. They're not the best things I've ever seen. I think John Wick is a better franchise, but there's a lot of really cool things about the mechanics of how his brain works, about how the character that Denzel Washington's character, how his brain works. I think that it's going to be able to really drive out that adult demographic. That's kind of what this film and this franchise is gearing towards. And what we have seen is that when you have a film that is geared towards not only the adult audiences, but also specifically the adult male demographics, those tend to do a little bit better than some of the others, right? When you talk about the PG-13 fare, or when you talk about, the fare that's going to be geared towards other audiences, we've kind of already seen this with some of the other films that have been talked about already. We're seeing, again, very different numbers, and we're seeing very inconsistent numbers. With this demographic, at the very least, there seems to be some pretty strong consistency. Now, the budgets, I think, for these movies have been ultimately what has let down many of them, but hey, Equalizer 3 does not have as bloated of a budget as some of the other films, but hey, doesn't mean that it does not have to make quite a bit of money. But hey, pretty strong start expected for this movie, and of course we'll have to wait and see if it, again, overperforms, underperforms with this Labor Day weekend. The number 2 spot is apparently going to be going to Barbie, according to Box Office Pro, making another $11.1 million, a 27% drop that will bring its total domestic to $613 million. Again, this film is pacing right now to where it getting close to $700 million domestic is a very strong possibility. So even though, again, the chances of it necessarily taking over the domestic totals of Top Gun Maverick from last year, even though that's not necessarily going to be a guarantee, it is pacing well enough to where we could potentially see this film still get pretty darn close to that $700 million mark, which would still be impressive in and of itself. Blue Beetle's also, again, percentage-wise, seemingly having, again, some impressive drops. So it's expected to have a 38% drop in its now, fourth week of release. So not the worst numbers in the world, but because its starting point was as low as it was, that means that its domestic total by the end of the Labor Day holiday is only going to be around $60.5 million. And so this film, still set to be one of the lowest grossing of these big budget films, still set to be also a massive flop for Warner Brothers despite strong holds in the domestic marketplace. Oppenheimer is then expected to take the next spot with a 15% hold. So again, if that indeed actually plays out, oh boy, Oppenheimer doing very, very well. Again, looking like $800 and $900 million worldwide by the end of its run. I know that there are some who are putting out there the possibility of it getting to $1 billion. I think that that's a little bit out of its reach, but hey, stranger things have happened before, so we'll have to wait and see. And lastly, talking today about Gran Turismo, again, a 63% drop in its week 2 numbers, expected to only be at $30.3 million domestic, even though it did have, again, a decent run as far as its early release internationally, making around $20 million or so in international markets within the week or 2 early release schedule that it had there. as I kind of mentioned at that time, it's going to make it, projecting this film out very, very difficult. So I'm not going to be able to use my own charting for that. But also this film still needs to make quite a bit of money in order for it to break even. So who's to say at this point? Right now, the domestic market is not seemingly showing up to this. I'm not really seeing a lot of hope in the domestic market. Who knows, the international might be able to come forth and, may be able to come through for this movie. But as of right now, things are not looking great for that film. Going over to Variety, as you can see, just again talking about the Equalizer 3, they're projecting a $35 million. That's the 4-day total that they are projecting. So we're always going to see these discrepancies between Box Office Pro. They use a little bit different metrics. This is the so-called industry standard being reported here by Becca over at Variety. And as it says here, that they are expecting this R-rated film to get $28 to $30 million on its 3-day total, and then $33 to $40 million. And so that is, again, going to be the interesting factor is, does it get to that $35 million, or does it, outperform even those projections from the industry and get closer to that 37 average that you see from the likes of Box Office Pro? That would mean Box Office Pro has either a higher low end or a higher, back end, basically saying that their highest projection is higher. In fact, we can go ahead and dive into the numbers themselves just to get a better idea of their ranges. It used to be that they were all at the bottom here, but now you have to actually go individually. So yeah, for them, they think 3-day, the range is 28 to 34, and their 4-day is 35 to 42. So interestingly enough, they have a lot of confidence in the fact that they think Equalizer at minimum is going to make 35, and that is the average of what is being projected by people over at Variety and the industry. So again, it'll be very, very interesting to see where those numbers land. And ultimately, this film does need to make still a little bit of money to break even. Going to the box office chart, we can see it has a $70 million budget, so a little bit more expensive than even that of Gran Turismo. And as Gran Turismo needs to make about $150 million to break even. And again, right now, it's sitting around $56 million worldwide. Equalizer 3, on the other hand, oh boy, $175 million. So again, definitely a possibility for that film and for that franchise, because we have seen a lot of success in that, right? Pulling up the franchise right now, we can just look at some of these numbers. So as you can see, the worldwide box office for the first Equalizer films was $192 and $190 million. That is unadjusted numbers there, unadjusted for inflation. So based on those numbers alone, as being kind of just that, we could say that ground level of what's expected for a film, again, around $190 million floor, I guess you could say. Again, and not a huge difference there between the two films. And when you adjust for inflation, obviously both of these movies would be well over $200 million. Then you're looking at the fact that, okay, he needs to make 175. If history continues to repeat itself, and if we see continued performance in these markets, hey, we could end up seeing Equalizer 3 be able to make a little bit of profit. And hey, I think that it's really nice to have kind of a self-contained, somewhat modern-day trilogy of films in a world where we're getting 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th installments of different worlds and different universes. It's kind of nice just to know, okay, we're going to have a seemingly a self-contained story. I don't know if there's plans for there to be another film after this. I kind of hope this is the last one. Denzel is not getting any younger, and it's, again, a kind of franchise that I think would fit very well in a nice, tight, package of a trilogy. But we'll have to wait and see. What are y'all's thoughts, though? Do you think that Equalizer 3 is going to be able to get to that $35 million opening? Again, we've actually seen some pretty similar numbers in the other openings for the film. So that would actually, adjusted for inflation, be on the low end of its opening. So do you think it's going to overperform there? Do you think it's going to be able to do a little bit better, hit the average or do a little bit better than the average? Let me know your thoughts about that. And also, what do you think about Gran Turismo? And again, things just aren't looking all that great for that film. Again, still film has not made a whole lot of money in other marketplaces, and it's not expected to do a whole lot here domestically. It's a really good film, and I highly recommend you go to see it. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button. A lot of the fire button, honestly, smash the rumble button as well. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless. And now for a special shout out to all of my members at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and above, starting off first with my members over on Patreon: Father Luca Illick, Hymir Irie Hymason, Garrett Searles, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Orange Hat Reviews, check out his YouTube channel by the same name, Laura, the Major General's Story, Rosetta Allen, check out her YouTube channel, Eagle Rider, and Miss Martin Muses, check out her YouTube channel by the same name as well. To my subscribe star peeps: Zion Voders, Matt317, check out his Twitch channel by the same name. Fast Reaction, The R, Mr. Roy, J-Rod, The Beer Guru, and ZK-Man, who you can check out over at xtheboundaries.co. And lastly, to my locals members, Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan, How About a Hockey Player, J.H. Schwalbach, and Robert Barnes, the amazing lawyer. So thank y'all very much for being my supporters at the Keep It the Bifrost level and above. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, go ahead and check out that top link in the video description below to find out ways to sign up to support the channel and to be able to get access to things like the shoutouts, but also to giveaways. I have an exclusive giveaways channel on my Discord server where I give away 4Ks, Blu-rays, all kinds of stuff, and also access to an exclusive podcast that I do once or twice a month, depending on what I'm able to get accomplished, especially over the course of this crazy, crazy busy summer. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.